Cotton Candy Dan is a new for 2024 Spirit Halloween animatronic. This guy released online as part of Spirit's first wave of prop reveals, and he's Techie's newest rendition of a terrifying monster clown character. Dan features stirring arms that blend his cotton candy together, a moving mouth, and of course, a sweet jump scare with a man inside of his cotton confection, officially named Jim. With all this in consideration, is Cotton Candy Dan worth his steep price tag of $329.99? Should you be adding him to your collection of carnies? Without any further ado, let's unbox and set up Cotton Candy Dan. For everything scary, I'm GMHaunts, and welcome to yet another Halloween 2024 animatronic unboxing, setup, demo, and review video. Now, this unboxing is super exciting because what you're seeing right in front of me and what is inside this box is my very first Spirit 2024 animatronic, because this is the Cotton Candy Dan prop. Now, as you can tell, I have not even taken him out of his shipping box just yet. He is still in the cardboard slip box, but also, as you can see, this guy has a super big box. You can see that it stands at around 3 feet tall, judging by what the FedEx dimensions were, and it also has a pretty wide box, which is interesting because Cotton Candy Dan isn't the biggest animatronic. He's around 6.3 feet tall, something like that. So not the biggest prop, but he does have a big box. He's manufactured by Techie Design, and in my opinion, most likely why this guy's box is so big is simply because he has some very large pieces. But as you can see, we have our first look into the box, and the first thing I'm noticing is that the printing is a little bit different, I guess, this year, as the Spirit logo is only on one side of the cardboard flaps. It's not printed in the middle. Kind of weird. Again, I haven't watched really any unboxings, so I don't know really what this guy's box is going to look like fully. It's pretty heavy. Let me try to get this out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got the box out of the shipping carton. Pretty heavy, so I did have to flip it upside down. He weighs like 40 pounds or 35 or something like that. So a pretty heavy animatronic, but here it is. Our first look at the actual box for Cotton Candy Dan. And like I said, I hadn't seen it. Look at how awesome that looks. Awesome image right there. Let me move this out of the way so you can see it perfectly. Very nice stock image of Cotton Candy Dan on the front there. Has some information about him, just says Cotton Candy Dan. We'll flip it to this side over here. On this side, we have another same stock image, just smaller. He actually does have handles, which is nice. Like I said, he's manufactured by Techie. Back of the box, obviously just has Cotton Candy Dan and his story on that side. And then on the other side here, we have two images. One that's kind of like a close-up of the top of the animatronic, and then a close-up of the man in the cotton candy bucket with his head sticking out, who, judging by the story, is actually named Jim. But here we are, our first look into the actual Cotton Candy Dan box. We can see some pieces in there. It looks like we can see some instructions, the adapter. So I'll take the instructions out first. It actually is connected to a box that most likely has some holes in there. We can get a look at his instructions. You can see Cotton Candy Dan's face on there. This is the same design that the instructions have been were for Spirit last year as well. So no new design, but there are his instructions. Here we have Cotton Candy Dan's pants, and these actually do have a pre-built-in waist loop, so they will keep their shape. As you can see, they are red color. These look very nice. Here we have the control box and module for Cotton Candy Dan, and as you can see, it was packaged with some styrofoam to protect the snap locks. In this cardboard pullout, we have the main piece for Cotton Candy Dan, and this is really interesting, not really something I expected. His head is actually connected to the body. It is not its own piece. So let's take off the plastic bag that is over his head. All right, so I got the plastic bag taken off, and let's take a look at this Cotton Candy Dan, his body and his head. Like I said, I honestly expected it to be a separate piece, the head as its own piece, but it is not. It is connected to his body, and his arms are also connected with the top of the stick for the cotton candy. As you can see right there, another interesting thing about this is that his head is plastic. Hopefully you can hear that. It is a hard plastic material. You can see how the jaw will move as he does have mouth movement, and he has that LED in there, which will turn on when he activates. But here's Cotton Candy Dan's head. I want to show how interesting this is packed by Techie Design. Hopefully you can kind of see to the bottom of the box there. The shoes are packed inside the cotton candy bucket, which is just a nice way to ship it. It kind of like condenses the amount of space the box has to be because it's already pretty large.
So I like that they did that. Right here, we have one of the pieces for the cotton candy stick, which just kind of like connects together for that. Next up, we will take out the shoes that I just mentioned. Here is one of them. This is the left shoe. As you can see, it is a awesome blue color, almost a baby blue, like a bright blue color. And it's pretty thick, which I'm glad to see. It is not as thin as the Clown on Stilts shoes were from Lowe's last year. They are much thicker. Again, listen to that, very, very thick. So I love the look of these. Here we have the man's head that is inside the cotton candy. I haven't taken a good look at it yet, so you're going to see my first reaction. Like I said in the description, or the story for Cotton Candy Dan, it does say that this guy's name is Jim. So I'm super excited to take a look at this. He looks awesome already. Yeah, this is so cool. All right, gotta get a close-up of this. I'm not gonna lie, I actually think I like the look of Jim's head more than Cotton Candy Dan himself. Look at how awesome that sculpt is. The look at like the white eyes and the mouth being open. It looks like there's cotton candy all over his face. And this is actually fluffy. That is so cool. Okay, the cotton candy on top of his head is actually fluffy. As you can see there, it looks so realistic. It looks like real cotton candy. You have the wire right here in there for the pop-up mechanism. The mechanism is actually built in. I should mention it's right there, but this looks just phenomenal. I love the sculpt of this. And then for one of the last pieces, we have one of the biggest parts for Cotton Candy Dan, which is part of the reason this guy's box is so big, the cotton candy bucket. And my first impression, it's actually really high quality. It may be the highest quality piece that I've taken out so far. I love the look of the cotton candy on there. It is open, obviously, as the mechanism for the head will go right in there. The bucket itself is really, really thick plastic. The paint job looks fantastic. I love the look of this bucket. And then finally, the last piece for Cotton Candy Dan is his base. And as you can see, it's not super big, but it does have the spot on there to secure the cotton candy bucket. All right, so here we are with all the pieces taken out of the box for Cotton Candy Dan. And I'm not gonna lie, I honestly expected more pieces for this animatronic. He kind of only has a couple of really large pieces, which again, I guess is why he has such a big box, but that should just mean that he has a simpler setup since he doesn't have that many parts. For the first step of the setup of Cotton Candy Dan, you're going to grab these two lower support poles that are labeled A at the bottom with these stickers. Obviously, first, you should put the base on the ground with the front sticker facing the front of the prop. And you're just going to snap lock these lower support poles right into the base, making sure to snap lock A to A and matching the stickers. Now we can go ahead and throw on Cotton Candy Dan's shoes. So the right one is obviously labeled right. You're just going to match it up so the holes do slide onto the brackets. You'll notice that on the base there is a spot for the shoe to slide onto like that, so it actually stays in a perfect position. You're going to do the same thing with the left shoe, making sure that it perfectly slides onto that bracket. Mine actually looks like it was drilled pretty good because these both fit pretty seamlessly. You can obviously adjust it once we add on the bucket. Next up, you're going to take the upper support poles and snap lock these on, matching B to B on the poles that we added on before, just like this. Very simple snap lock. And these seem like they're actually drilled pretty good. Of course, as soon as I say that, this one doesn't go. There we go. Snap lock these on. Now we can take the pants with the waist loop and add these on, and hopefully you can see that okay on camera. There is a front sticker on the front of the pants, so you know which way to put them. You're just going to take these and put them over. It's honestly super easy. Look at that, just slide these over the poles. Because of that pre-built-in waist loop, they already have their shape to them for Cotton Candy Dan's legs, which is always awesome. Just makes it so much easier to slide these on. So you're just going to put these right over top of the poles, making sure that you can see the top of the poles inside of the pants, just like that. Now we're going to add on the main module with the control box. This you're just going to match C to C with the poles that we just added on before. Sometimes it's easier to do one snap lock before the other when you're adding these parts on, and a little bit of pushing to make sure that the snap locks do line up, but you will get it eventually, just like that. Turn it around, make sure the snap lock goes through, and you're ready to go. Now we're going to pull Cotton Candy Dan's pants up, and you're going to see the brackets that are coming from the waist loop. You're just going to slide these right into the holes that are coming from the piece on the module so that his pants are pulled up. Now we can go ahead and attach the most important part, Cotton Candy Dan's head and his body, with the arms attached, and this is just going to slide onto the pole from the control box piece, and you're going to snap lock it in, making sure that it is secure. Something I want to add for that step is that on mine, the little folding plastic piece that's meant to be used to undo the snap lock was actually pushed in already, I guess through shipping. So if the same thing happens to yours, make sure you pull it backwards so that the snap lock can actually go in for attaching the body. For these next couple of steps, you're first going to remove the pin that is on the base for Cotton Candy Dan, taking off the cotter pin that's holding it in and the actual pin itself. Put it off to the side for a second. You don't need it right now. You can now add on the bucket. And the way you're going to do this is that there's actually a little opening inside, kind of like on the floor of the bucket, if you will. And you're going to slide that little hole. It's kind of more like a rectangle shape. You're going to match it up so that the hole slides onto the little circle shape that we just pulled the pin from.
Just a note that I wanted to add here, I actually made a mistake during this step of the setup. If you notice that little opening, that is the square shape on the bucket itself, that is supposed to be facing backwards as it's where the wires go. So when you're doing this, make sure that square is facing towards the back of the animatronic, and then you can put the pin back in to secure the bucket in place.
Now you're going to take the bigger pin out that is actually in the mechanism part of the cotton candy bucket. You'll know that it's different because obviously it is a bigger pin. Put this one off to the side. Now you can take Jim's head, which has the cotton candy on it with the mechanism on the bottom. You're going to slide this into the spot for it to go with the bottom mechanism that is already built into the bottom of the cotton candy bucket. You're going to slide it in as far as it'll possibly go. And then you're going to take the pin that we took out, slide it back into the hole that it was before, and make sure that it fully goes through the pole that has Jim's head on it, and then secure it with the little cotter pin. While you're in the cotton candy bucket, you can go ahead and connect some of the wiring that is down here for the mechanism, and one of those wires is F, so make sure you connect them matching F to F. Now we can finish assembling the cotton candy stick. So you're going to take one of these smaller pieces here and snap lock it in. It is labeled G at the bottom with a sticker, as the top of Jim's head is labeled as G. So that's just going to connect right like that. Then you're going to take the upper part that actually has Cotton Candy Dan's hands on it, and you're going to push it right into what we just assembled, matching each to each. For the next step, you're going to take all of the wires that are coming from the inside of the cotton candy bucket that aren't yet plugged in, so anything that is an F, and you're going to run it out of the little square hole that is drilled into the back of the cotton candy bucket. From there, you're going to run it up Cotton Candy Dan's pant leg so that it comes up where you'll be able to connect it to the control box. There's kind of like a lot of wire, so it may take a little bit of time, but make sure you get them all up the pant leg so it looks nice. And once you've taken all of the wires from the inside of the cotton candy bucket and threaded them out the little hole, up the pant leg to the control box, connected them, and connected all of the wires that are from the head to the control box as well, you are officially finished assembling your Cotton Candy Dan animatronic. From here, all you have to do is plug in the adapter. Technically, before you plug in the adapter, you should fix them up a little bit, play with the hair, and get them looking exactly how you want. Alright, so here he is, the Spirit of Halloween 2024 Cotton Candy Dan animatronic, assembled in all of his glory. But before I give you my thoughts on him, let's take a look at the demos.
Get your cotton candy here! We've added some new ingredients! I think you're gonna like it! Better be careful walking around at this place. You can get in all kinds of sticky situations here. Attention all kiddos! Attention all kiddos! I found a lost parent! He belong to anyone here?
Alright, so you just saw the demos for my Spirit of Halloween 2024 Cotton Candy Dan animatronic, and overall, I think this guy is a fantastic clown prop. From the beginning, I knew that I was going to like this guy simply because of his unique concept, relating to cotton candy, because while we see a lot of clown animatronics, and I mean a lot of clown animatronics, from not only Spirit but really all Halloween companies, we really haven't seen a clown related to cotton candy before. So when we first saw this guy, I immediately thought that he was a fresh take on a clown with his whole concept revolving around cotton candy and having a guy's head stuck in the cotton candy that he's making. I also love the idea that he's literally making the cotton candy right in front of you, and when you activate this guy, his animation with the stirring of the cotton candy moving it around before Jim's head pops up for that very nice jump scare. I will say, I don't think the face of this animatronic is the most impressive thing ever. In fact, I actually think Jim's head is a cooler sculpt than Cotton Candy Dan itself, but that is not saying that his face is bad at all. I just think it's kind of simple, and when you see it in person, it doesn't really have a ton of like detail or anything like that. I will say I love the pink on there. That makes it look like cotton candy is smeared all over him. The big clown nose, I love that one of his eyes does light up red, and the other one is covered with, again, almost like a cotton candy mixture that looks like it's developed over his face. I adore the look of Jim's head. I think the sculpt of it is fantastic. The coloring is great. The paint job, the glossed over white eyes are so creepy looking, and I just love the head for Jim inside of the candy bucket. So finally, you know I have to talk about this guy's price tag. Cotton Candy Dan is retailing for $329.99, 330 United States dollars at Spirit Halloween for the 2024 season. And do I think he's worth that price tag? I'm kind of split on this guy. I'm not really sure exactly what to say, because I will say he has a lot of animation. Like I said before, with the stirring, the pop-up jump scare head, and the mouth movement, this guy has a lot of animation going on. And he also has the LED eye in the eye right there. As you can see, he stands at around 6 feet tall, so he isn't the biggest animatronic in the world, but he does have some size to him. He definitely isn't small. He definitely takes up a good amount of space, especially considering the amount of space from his back to the front of the cotton candy bucket. I would say definitely use a coupon when picking up Cotton Candy Dan. I don't think he's worth the full $330 plus tax, but I would say he's worth it if you can get your hands on a 20% off coupon at Spirit, which is pretty common, and you can normally get one like throughout the entire season. So I would definitely say get your hands on a 20% off coupon, and then definitely pick this guy up either online or in stores, and you will definitely be happy with him. But overall, I think this guy is a very cool clown animatronic for the Spirit Halloween 2024 season, and we do know that he will be in stores for 2024, so that's something to look forward to. I love that Spirit released this guy and some other animatronics in June. I always love the early releases because it gives us the chance to buy stuff before stores even open, and more importantly than that, buy and open stuff before flagship even opens, which is on August 1st this year. I love this animatronic. I think he's a great fresh take for a clown animatronic, and I would highly recommend that you check this guy out at your local Spirit Halloween for 2024. But I guess, remember as always, for everything scary, I'm GMHaunts. I'll see you guys later for more Spirit Halloween 2024 videos. Goodbye.